Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm your host, Alex Gizis, and this is Mike, one of the developers on Speedify. And this live stream is your chance to ask us, the makers of Speedify, whatever questions you might have. Like, where is my cursor? All right. So if you have questions for us, you just type them in the comments wherever you're watching this video. Assuming that's Twitch or YouTube, and we'll see them and we'll respond. All right, so much people saying hello to all of you. All right, hello. Certified Gig Chad says, what elements make Speedify prioritize a connection and use it more than others? Is it ping or bandwidth? Example, 5G plus unlimited. All right. So in he's asking about priorities, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. Namely, so highest level, what are our priorities? They're generally how expensive you think the connection is, which affects how much Speedify can use it. So Speedify has all these smarts about measuring latency and loss and bandwidth and all this jitter stuff, and super smart about that. But what it can't know by itself is how much do you care about the cost of using this internet connection? So that's where you come in, providing the priority. So here's Speedify running on this computer. This is the real Speedify I'm using right now to do this live stream. So each of the internet connections I have is a different bar here. The green is how much it's giving me of them combined. Down here you can see the two live streams. I'm live streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. It's totally cool. But here are the connections. And he's asking, how does it decide what the priority should be? Let's go into this guy. So what are our choices? So automatic is really what he's talking about. If you leave it automatic, Speedify will take a stab at figuring out its best guess of what your priority should be. And that'll be one of the following choices. Primary means you're okay with it using it all the time. Anytime it thinks it might help even a little bit, just go ahead and use it as much as you want. Secondary means it's a little more expensive. And expensive to you could mean dollars per gigabyte, or it might just mean like, oh, this thing drains the battery kind of fast. Mm-hmm. So I prefer you not use it, right? It's not necessarily a dollar sign thing. But secondary is like, it's okay to use this for a speed boost. If the primary connections aren't getting us as fast as we want to, well, then go ahead and use this. But, try to use the primaries first. Backup means it's really expensive. Only use it if we need it to stay online. And then finally, never means don't use this connection. Mm-hmm. So what does automatic do? How does it decide? Well, it defaults to primary. Doesn't know anything about an internet connection. It assumes you're okay with using it all the time. If it can see that it's cellular, even not at the first hop, like you join a Wi-Fi hotspot and then it uses cellular to get on the internet, it'll guess this is probably secondary. You probably want us to use that a little bit less. And if it sees Bluetooth, then it decides it's backup. Mm-hmm. And that, at this moment, I believe, is the entire set of rules. Yep. It's, sorry. Long answer for cellular is secondary. Anything on Bluetooth. Bluetooth is so bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that it's 1, or if you have the latest version, 4 megabits, actually makes it sound better than it is. Mm-hmm. It somehow adds so much to the latency. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine. Like somewhere it's got some giant buffer for storing packets to slow them down. Because it really is hard to imagine just how slow Bluetooth is when you try to run the internet over it. So I hope that helps. So, and by the way, if you don't like those choices, you can do what I did. You click on the connection, you click on priority, you get this menu, and if Speedify picked the wrong thing, no big deal, you pick the right thing. Right, so yeah, so fun. All right, Gillian likes my neon lights.
That's
Thank
so cool.
you.
Mhm.
So, of course, they're actually LED, not neon, in this day and age, and they are surprisingly inexpensive.
Really?
I mean, even this giant custom Speedify logo on the wall was, just a couple $100.
Not bad.
You know,
Yeah, neon lights would cost $1,000 probably.
Oh yeah, it used to be old world craftsmen bending glass, and now I think they pretty much laser cut a piece of plastic and glued lights to it. So yeah, it's really nice. And Doc Rock, one of my earlier streams, watched, and he's like, "You're really good, but you need lights in the back. You need lights, slightly purple, changing colors." And he was right. So we got lights. Doc Rock. Get out and watch Doc Rock. Check him out. He has fantastic streams talking about how to be successful at streaming and stuff. All right. So sort of, when I choose both to be primary, Speedify still uses one connection a lot more than the others. What determines this? Okay, so if they're both primary, it is making decisions based on, it's putting timing info on the front of every packet as it sends them over the connections and timing them. And it is determining what it thinks of your connection. It is calculating the latency, the loss, the jitter. If you send enough traffic, it figures out the bandwidth. But if you only send a little bit, it might not know the bandwidth. Turns out knowing the bandwidth is less important than you would think. And based on those, it says which connection makes most sense to send this on. So if one connection is losing packets, it's probably not worth using, even if it's fast.
Yep.
If it has a lot of jitter, if you can't rely on it, and you put a packet through and you don't know when it'll get through, probably bad. So Speedify does all sorts of calculations based on performance. So if it is purposely using one connection less than the others, well, one thing you can look at back in Speedify, where are we? Back to the dashboard, is these graphs. You can look at the latency of the different connections, the loss of the different connections, little bits of loss showing up. But yeah, latency, loss.
It's just a parent share connection.
What is that? Oh, parent share connection. That's probably not too important. But yeah, might be that one of your connections is not very good, and Speedify has figured this out.
Yeah, if you want to share what your connections are, maybe we can take a look.
All right. When using Speedify, some connections are blocked by the website. Can this be resolved? We're working on a bunch of things there to improve it. It's tough because, when there are a bunch of bypasses, there are a bunch of websites you can make go around it. It's definitely tough. We're getting caught. Websites are starting to block more and more people because the people running these AI bots and training them are absolutely being abusive. And people are freaking out. Actually, there was a funny article on Hacker News today. Did you see it?
I didn't see it.
Oh, this guy, he made his website when he realizes that a bot is just looking at every page. He starts giving it zip files. Okay. That expand to, tens of gigabytes or terabytes of data when it unzips it, because the bot grabs it, it's trying to suck up all your data. So if it sees a zip file, it grabs it and it purposely unzips.
So let it just kill that bot.
To either fill up all of its memory or fill up its hard drive.
That's pretty good.
With just, spaces, right? If you just, a zip file that says one space repeated 1 trillion times is a tiny little file for your website to serve. But if these AI bots try to unzip it to learn what's in it, boom. So he says it's pretty effective.
Then your language models are going to start hallucinating from spaces. And like, what is this data they're feeding us?
Just returning billions of spaces sometimes.
Where do we get this?
So, is it challenging to synchronize data streams from satellites in different orbits? So, I think you mean from our point of view, Speedify's, since you're asking us. So what we do, as I said earlier, is we're putting a little bit of timing info on each packet. And so Speedify doesn't understand that satellites are in different orbits or something. It just notices that when I go through the Starlink, the packet gets through in 40 milliseconds plus or minus 20. It's pretty low, but it jumps around more than I would like. And then it'll notice that when I put it through this thing that calls itself VSAT, it takes 800 milliseconds.
Yeah.
And so based on those, it starts calculating like which is the best connection to give the next packet to, and it's almost always going to be the Starlink. But that's what we're doing. So we're not thinking about synchronizing to different orbits. We're just saying, based on what I know about the latency, loss, jitter, bandwidth of each connection, which is the best connection to give this next packet to. And so it kind of works out that we basically are. So maybe the answer is it's very, very hard and we're very good at it. We've been working on it for years. Reminds me of, that they say, if you watch, when a baseball player hits a ball, into the outfield, it follows this, parabolic arc. And if you watch the speeds that the outfielders run at, their speed, if you plot it, is a parabolic arc.
That's interesting.
So it implies this deep knowledge of physics by the players.
Hey,
But that's not what they're doing.
No.
They're wearing a baseball hat. And when they see the ball, they try to get the brim of they try to keep the ball at a consistent spot relative to the brim of their hat. And as the ball comes down, they move to keep it at the same spot.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And if the ball's coming down faster, they move a little faster. If it's coming down slower, they move a little slower, so that they try to keep the ball in the same spot as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it lands right in their glove. They're just trying to keep the ball at the same spot relative to the brim of their hat.
Yeah.
And the end result is a parabolic arc.
They're just following the physics line. Yeah.
They're not calculating a parabolic arc. Weird story. But so we're just trying to keep the latency, loss, and jitter.
That's a short right there. I love that explanation. That was great.
The same spot.
Yeah.
And the end result is it seems like we're synchronizing to satellites. So, all right. So here's one for you, Mike. The Apple C1 chip.
Okay. Apple
has come out with their own cellular chip. Up until now, they've been using Qualcomm or Intel ones. And it's actually been funny. People in the know have been saying, how to look at the serial number of your new iPhone.
Oh, to determine.
Because, in fact, the Qualcomm ones go faster than the Intel ones. So some people say, always check that serial number and look it up. But now Apple has their own. Is that finally going to give us the 5G MacBooks?
What a great question. I mean, we've been anticipating this for years. But I do think that is the only next space that MacBooks will have to go. We've got 5G iPads, and now that it's in-house, I mean, you could probably count on it. I wouldn't expect it this year or next year, but definitely in the next couple iterations of the Pro MacBook.
Yeah,
that's fantastic news, though. I mean, we have the dual SIM. I mean, are they going to start giving us double chips? I mean, what other directions can Apple go? I mean,
the one thing the chip's missing is it doesn't have support for Verizon's ultra-wideband.
Okay.
Right. So, Verizon has that, really high frequency stuff where if you get outside and you can see the tower, you can actually hit these crazy speeds. But it never works inside anyone's houses or whatever. So, Apple just doesn't support it at this point.
That's Apple land. So anything that's new and cutting edge, you're not going to see it on an Apple product for years until it's a household item.
Ouch!
It's the truth.
I thought you thought they were the innovators.
No, they're the guys that come in to make everything nice and stable and friendly. They're not making too many waves. And when they do with the VR headsets, they get into some trouble.
Yeah.
Or AI.
Yeah, so here we go. So is Apple C1 chip going to give us cellular
Yeah.
MacBooks? What do you guys think? Or any other neat products? I mean, is it just Apple saving a little money? Or is it going to give us something cool?
I mean, they're going to come into the glasses market. We're going to have some 5G glasses.
Brian
coming.
Purdell says, nope. If anyone at Apple wanted 5G MacBooks, they'd already be shipping them. All right, so we do have a new Between Two Palms video on YouTube. After the stream, check it out. Where Brian Purdell and I talk about the C1 chips, everything we know about them, and his super negative attitude on 5G MacBooks.
Brian, it's sunny out. Think about it. Apple, yeah, he's not wrong, but yeah.
I mean, obviously, Apple had the power to do this at any time they want.
But now they're in control.
There's a rumor that they just didn't want to give Qualcomm that much money.
I totally agree. I think
that
in-house replaces everything. I mean,
that not letting those bastards get the cut of the MacBooks
They would-
was
a big
worth as
deal.
much to them. It was worth more to them than building a better product. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe Brian's right. The other Between Two Palms video we have, and this is a good one, kind of special. I talk with Sean Hendricks, network expert, content creator. He was one of the top guys at MrBeast. He was also the guy who spent the 90 days in a circle. That guy, for a lot of us who are not like kids, that was the first video that MrBeast made that was like awesome, actually worth watching. But yeah, so now he starting during his time at MrBeast and going on now that he's left, he is doing all of this cool stuff with helping people stay connected during disasters. So he and MrBeast and Starlink like cooperated during Hurricane Helene, and he was down there in the field figuring out how to get towns back online, how to get fire departments back online. And it was super important stuff, and he is an awesome guy. And boom, YouTube, check it out. We got some new videos where I'm talking to him, and it is really, really good.
we could assume Speedify user, right? Has he tried the new Miri
Oh, of course
routers yet?
Of course he. Oh, in fact, has he tried? Yes, he tried the Miri router. He when he was running the tech at MrBeast, and they blew up Kai Cenat's house.
Right. Okay.
Right. They built a replica of Kai Cenat's house and blew that up. But to get permission from the fire department, they're the fire marshal. They're a real company now, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. They can't illegally blow up houses anymore. They put it in a field in the middle of North Carolina, far from anything. And they had like fire trucks there and stuff to make sure they didn't start a forest fire or whatever. All done right. But they realized they ended up so far from civilization, they couldn't get internet to the site. So they got a Miri router and Starlink dishes and multiple cell phones and multiple SIM cards. And they got, weak signals to every carrier, Starlink. And that's what they used when they blew up the house. And we talk about that. There's also another video with Ryan Brenneman from Miri where we talk about that because he actually went down.
Did he see it?
He was there.
That's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, so true story. So Sean Hendricks called Bonnet here at Speedify and said, "We've got this problem. We need internet in this site in North Carolina tomorrow.
Oh.
Can you help me, Bonnet?" And she said, "Sure. Let me just get Alex on the line." So they get me on the line. He tells me the same story. We need internet to this site in North Carolina where there's no internet. Tomorrow, can you help me? And I said, "Sure. Let me get Ryan Brenneman on the line." So we had Ryan Brenneman on the line. And Sean Hendricks tells the same story. And Ryan says, "You're 6 hours away. I'll be there in 7 hours."
Wow. Done.
Done. Ryan just grabbed routers, grabbed cell phones, grabbed SIM cards, grabbed tools, threw them in the back of his car, started driving south.
He drove?
And
Oh my
he just,
goodness.
boom,
All right.
got there, fixed the thing up, saved the stream. We dropped 0 packets.
Really?
0
Wow.
packets.
That's crazy.
One last crazy thing about that shot. So, you know, they had hundreds of pounds of fireworks and the camera in front of it, and they lit the fireworks, and the people ran off, and then it all blew up. The computer they were using to live stream, it was a Windows PC running OBS. They purposely just put it 10 feet away from the explosives. And then they ran a 300-foot Ethernet cable out to the Miri router.
Oh.
When the bomb goes off and the stream ends, it's literally because it
literally
blew the computer to pieces.
That's cool.
Like they destroyed the camera. They destroyed. It was.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, it was.
One take though. You know him too.
What was that old Daffy Duck? I can only do this trick once.
Oh, that's a good one.
So yeah. All right.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
We blow up houses, Alex. You know, next time Sean Hendricks calls, instead of turning it over to Ryan, say, "I'm there."
Is Babs offering her house?
All right. Is it better to connect to a MoFi router and bond it as one connection rather than is using a smartphone like an S23 Ultra as a hotspot? What do you mean by MoFi router? Is that a typo?
Is it supposed to be MiFi?
Yeah.
No, it is MoFi.
There are things called MoFi routers.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. My quick answer, I'm not familiar with these MoFi routers, and I assume that's what you meant. Trouble is, we're reaching the point with these short words where every typo turns out to be something.
A real product, yeah.
It turns out to be a real product. So that could be a typo where, yeah, no, okay. All right, a mobile Wi-Fi router. Okay. It is best to get yourself as many connections as you can, preferably on different carriers. If there is a way to connect to one of these mobile Wi-Fi routers, perhaps by Ethernet or USB, and also connect to that Samsung S23 Ultra, especially if you can get like one on T-Mobile, one on Verizon, one on AT&T, one on Verizon.
Covered everywhere.
If you can get on 2 different carriers, that's the best. We found that so good for when we were live streaming. We used to do live streams where I would walk around the city. And we tried all sorts of things. Getting to 2, that was the order of magnitude difference. The difference between whether you used AT&T or Verizon. If we walked around the city, eventually the video would go out. But if we had Verizon and AT&T or Verizon and T-Mobile, we could do entire streams without any problem. You know, you get better stats if you could figure out how to get a 3rd one in, add Starlink and all this stuff. But if you got up to 2 connections on 2 different carriers, you're good, right? You bond those 2 together. Their dead spots are almost never in the same spot. We did a whole bunch of experiments where we just put me on the Amtrak train. I rode up and down the East Coast. And I tell you, I was using, you know, actually, yeah, at the time I was using Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon. And if you had AT&T and Verizon, there was only one spot, the tunnel going under the Hudson River, where neither worked. Both of them had so many dead spots that it was frustrating to work with them. But they weren't in the same spot.
So it was always bop, 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 bop.
Bop, 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 bop,
That's cool.
back and forth.
And in a tunnel, you can't
complain. There's nothing from nobody. What are you going to do? And I think now they've put stuff in that tunnel because that's the one spot. So I think they put a little, little cellular tower down there in the tunnel. So good for them. All right, how we doing here? So Miri router keeps coming up. You guys should check it out. We'll drop a link in the comments. It is a rugged professional router. It uses the same batteries as a Sony. It has a 5G built-in, a 4G built-in, has Wi-Fi built-in. You can USB tether phones, and it has Speedify out of the is really great. All right, here it is. Yeah, the Miri X510. So we've been running the X510 with T-Mobile 5G, Verizon 4G, Starlink, and several pair and shared devices. It's been rock solid in locations we've never been able to get to before. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Matthew,
that is good to hear, Matthew.
What are you streaming? Yeah, this sounds interesting. What are you doing?
Danny Greer. Used Speedify in the UK for 5 years now. Game changer for live streaming on the go.
It's true.
All right. Yeah, there's a link to the Miri in the comments. Actually, let me show you something. Here's a cool thing. In the most recent versions, if it's a Starlink, you get the Starlink logo, and that tells you there are some more stats, and there's going to be more coming. So the stats themselves, this is the latency to the closest base station. So Speedify's latency is always higher because we count latency all the way to the internet. But it's interesting. And these update every 30 seconds?
Yes.
Right. And how much your Starlink is actually sending up and down, and the status. Oh, this is, unfortunately, it's fine. We have like 15 different alerts. If your Starlink is overheating, if your Starlink is obstructed, if your Starlink is in the middle of a software update, all of those things we will tell you. And yeah. So, unfortunately, my Starlink's doing great right now.
Fortunately. But it's great to diagnose. So if you're having connection problems, you're like, what's wrong with my Starlink? You could actually see if something's wrong with the connection to the Starlink itself and what it's doing, if more people are on it. And we'll keep expanding those stats.
Matthew says, has our rack mounted with the external antennas in our broadcast trailer. Couldn't be happier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one of the nice things about it, I mean, that you can use it as a tabletop router, it's a router.
Yeah.
But it also has the screw holes on the side, and it's actually the 1U height. Is that 1/2 inches? And it's half regular height, half width. So what's that? 9.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. So you can rack mount it. It actually comes, the Miri, with the ears. That's a little piece of hardware. So you can put it in a rack. He's mostly doing high school sports and some community events. We need a new chassis design for the next generation form factor PC hardware. Probably. Which way would you go? Like tiny, rack mountable. Do we need a smaller sort of rack? Yeah. Maybe there's a question for next week, so we can all mull it over. Next generation PC, what should they be shaped like? Yeah, and I think it's actually in the box. They each come with ears and a little metal plate. So if you put two of them side by side, there's a spot to stick the metal plate, screw it in, and then you just put the ears on the outer edges. And that turns it into a single 1U. Magewell, the company that makes a lot of streaming hardware, so they have like digital video encoders that are the exact same form factor. So you can use the same plate and the same ears. So you can have a 1U unit, which is your bonding router and your video encoder. And that's one row in your rack.
That's pretty sick.
So I think they have a couple different devices that use this exact same shape. So Magewell and Miri are using the same form factor, so you can have them share a single level in the rack. Or if you want two routers, just put two routers next to each other.
Oh, the connections you would have for two routers.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, a lot of work going on here to improve myspeedify.com. I think it started off as a spot where you could go and cancel your subscription if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But as we add more and more stats, we've realized that it's become a sort of backwards.
It's a nice hub.
Yeah, but it needs some redesign because you get there and the first thing's all about licenses, and then underneath the licenses is the devices. I think if you're using Speedify, you care about your devices, and it's an asterisk, you know.
Yeah, hide the license information. If you need it, you could find it.
Yeah, we're not trying to trick anybody. Just think that that site needs a redesign. We're working on it. I think you're going to see basically something change every week for the next 6 weeks until we get it to the place we really want it to. So yeah, YouTube got a bunch of neat videos. That video with Sean Hendricks, fantastic. Also good video with me and Brian talking about the C1.
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
From Apple.
Yeah. I can't wait to leave my comments, Brian.
DJ Group with a fast digital bus capable of putting hardware DSP chips inside the machine for stomp. Yeah. So obviously it'd be lots of things. You could be digital signal processors is what he wants. You know, other people I think will want to like add more GPUs, add more. Yeah, I think there's all sorts of different code. You know, sort of beyond me. System where it's easier to
start adding things.
Yeah. Add more crazy things. The external GPU, I think. But bring them. All right. What else we got here? What are you working on these days?
We actually, beyond some of the router stuff, we have a nice update coming out next. I think maybe 15.6, which would be the Mac app. We redesigned it a little bit, so now it could fit in your dock if you wanted. It'll be in the force quit menu. We made it more of an app rather than like a background agent, which people seem to want back. So yeah,
I think we reached the right level, right? I mean, we used to be like a full-blown app.
It was
that
too much.
Showed up in your dock, and people were like, I just want to be a little thing in the tray. So we made just a little thing in the tray.
Yeah.
And now people are like, why isn't it in the dock? So I think we've come up with the right level. Honestly, stealing from leaders like Little Snitch and stuff, other apps people love on the Mac, where like when you pop it up, it becomes a full-blown app, and when you hide it away, it goes away. Becomes just a little thing in the tray, and it moves between the two modes. And I think we're finally going to make the Mac users happy.
We're never happy. So any feedback, bring it.
That's my impression.
We'll ignore it for a little bit, but no, yeah, it should be a really nice update coming.
So yeah, we're stealing from the best here. All right, I think we are running low on questions here, and we've been live for more than half an hour. So, all right, thank you guys. We're gonna get back to grinding on the next version of Speedify, and I'll see all of you online.